house is also part of their personal heritage. It has special meaning.
We're just going to meet you in the garden.
Visits to the house are chances to look not just at Vancouver's history, but also to look at their own family history.
Well, it's the same entry hall, isn't it? Yeah, and we've got our lake back.
Kay Haw and Gwen Varco are the granddaughters of Gustav and Matilda Roedde.
Right in the corner.
More than 70 years ago, when they were little girls, their father went away to World War I, and Kay and Gwen and their mother came to stay here with Gustav and Matilda, their grandparents.
Well, it's hard to remember how high the ceilings were, because I do not know how grandmother coped with those ceilings, hanging curtains. It's bad enough having to wash and put them on the racks to dry. Well, this door, of course, it seems to me it was closed most of the time. Oh, yes, it was closed all the time. We didn't go in there unless we were invited. Yeah, which wasn't too often, except I got in there to practice. Well, I wonder who did the painting of grandfather. I think that's one Auntie Madeline resurrected.
For Kay and Gwen, the house is alive with memories. Memories of playing in many of the places that visitors walk through. Memories of using many of the things that are in the house today. Memories of the people that lived and visited here, and of what life was like in Vancouver in 1916, when their father was away at the war.
The table as being about twice as long as that. Yes. It does. It looks far too small to get 6 men at it, too. I don't see how that worked. But it seemed to, and it wasn't there. It was sort of out, because I thought it was out, but it was still, I could get in when I came home. If there were people sitting there, I could come in the caboose and take the raincoat off or gumboots there.
The kitchen was always a special place for Kay and Gwen. It was the center of family life for them. Gustav and 2 or 3 of his employees ate lunch here every day. For the little girls, it was a chance to listen and learn about the affairs of the world outside. Once or twice a week, the girls would be greeted on their return home from school by the rich aroma of their grandma's baking. They'd sit on the still warm oven door and munch oven-fresh treats.
The coffee grinder is here, and we used to, you and I used to have a job of grinding it in the pantry. It seems strangely small to me, and of course I was a lot smaller then. I guess that has something to do with it, and the stove's not in the right place. No, it was over here. I presume this was left over from the gas lighting, do you think? I think I remember it as being along the wall there. They didn't use it in our time. So, because I remember Grandma's that warmer at the top of the stove where she kept her toasted buns. Mm-hmm. They were good. Well, it is the same stove, I believe. Same type, you mean? Well, it might even be the same stove. It wasn't. I don't think it's been used for a long time. You want to try sitting on the oven door? No. I sure break it now, but these things, I remember those irons particularly because they had a magic way of, you pull up that thing in the center, I believe, and then it locks in. And then they sat on a trivet on the ironing board. Yeah, you sure.
In many ways, life for the 2 little girls was similar to life for children today. They went to school, played and explored outside, spent time with their family. But in many ways, their lives were also very different. And visitors to the house who look closely can see how. There's no television, no radio, no washing machine, no dishwasher, no dryer, and very few of the normal appliances that we use to make our lives easier. When Kay and Gwen lived here, all the clothes were washed by hand. The stoves and fireplaces had to be stoked to cook on. life was a lot more work.
Because there was no radio, it was a different kind of world. And even the newspapers were sold on the street. I can remember newsboys coming down when there was anything exciting in the news and saying, "Extra, extra." And that's how you were alerted to the fact that there was a newspaper out. And you would go out and give them 10 cents and buy the newspaper. We would often be sent out to buy a newspaper.
And this is where the telephone was, as I remember. Don't you think it was? I know we could hear the girl from through the grating. Yes, the little grating into the upstairs hall is gone. Close the door.
That's easier said than done, dear.
Oh, turn the handle. It's.
Here we are.
Well.
In spite of the fact that in those days life was a lot more work than it is today, there were many rewards too. Family life was rich and full and provided a great deal of happiness for the little girls.
Well, security, I think. It was the home and the kitchen that appealed to me. You know, that grandmother was always there. And of course, I guess Mother was too, but she was probably busy sewing. But I just remember that there was the security of Grandmother and the baking and the smell of this lovely food, this great food. I guess it's the security, isn't it?
I know I was set down to practice at the piano, and I used to hate it. And I once said to Mother, "You know, Mother, if you would give me 5 cents every time I practiced half an hour, I would do it every day." Isn't that awful thing to remember?
Of course, 5 cents meant something.
Oh, the same as $1, I think.
It meant an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
But not at Frisco's. We couldn't get ice cream.
And I remember going to Miss Towers, who was my music teacher, and Granda would give me a Lowney's chocolate bar and also one for Miss Towersy, which I don't know why, but I think of it going up to Miss Towersy. She lived on Georgia Street and up near up near Burrard, I think it was, between Thurlow and Burrard, on the north side of the street, and she had a room there with a piano. And by the time I got there with my 2 chocolate, well, I only had one because I'd eaten one on the way, and I would pass this to Miss Towersy, who was a dear old lady, a Polish lady, and she would say, "Well, dear, I don't eat much chocolate. You have it. Would you like it?" Would I like it? I certainly thought that was a great suggestion.
The West End was very familiar to us. It's old. I've been there long enough that old Black Joe taught our mother to swim. Yes. And he had a little shack in that little park that's there. He lived there. I suppose he was a squatter too, I don't know.
Well, I can remember I used to go downtown with Mother. I used to hate it. She'd stop in every window to look in. But we always knew people when we went down to, I guess it was Georgia and Granville and Berks and Hudson Bay, and we would maul around there. Probably she was trying to get some shoes to fit me because I had very skinny feet. And she always had friends. There was always somebody you knew. You know, now it's just a big mass of people.
Vancouver is a young city. It's a city of immigrants. We are all, apart from the First Nations people, newcomers here. We or our parents or grandparents have all come here from elsewhere. With us we bring customs and traditions. Each family brings its own personal heritage. For Kay and Gwen, and their own daughters Catherine and Kathleen, The house is a direct link back to the heritage brought to Canada by Gustav and Matilda Roedde and to the lives they made here. Visits to the house are time to pass on that heritage, to keep it from being forgotten, so that each new generation can know where they came from. But the house is also part of the heritage of all the people who live in Vancouver, because the city we live in draws from the heritages of all those who have come here. It's a way of collecting those heritages, of sharing them with the others who live around us. That's what a community is. Like a family photograph meant for all of us, the RoeddeHouse is a reminder of how our entire community once lived, of where we came from. It's like a window that we can all look through, a window to our past.